this. And I want to share my screen. Go to our Canvas website. So I go down here. I go to this lecture video. And it gives me this weird thing. So I have to click on this to allow it. There we go.
Welcome to the Online Astronomy Laboratory video series.
But listen, they don't sleep either, right?
We will show how stars are plotted on the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram and describe the various groups to which stars belong. When we first glance at the night sky, all stars pretty much look the same. However, on closer inspection, we find that there are a wide variety of stars. Stars with different sizes, different brightnesses, and different temperatures. In what way are the stars the same? In which ways are they different? Let's explore the physical properties of the stars. Let's first examine the surface temperature of stars. The surface temperature of it can be determined by comparing it to something we call a black-body curve. The temperature also determines the color a star will appear. From hottest to coolest, the star colors are blue, white, yellow, orange. We can break these colors down into a finer definition of temperature using what we call a spectral class. This is the classification of stars based on their temperatures, where we determine them from absorption lines in the spectrum. The classes in order from hottest to coolest are O, B, A, F, G, K, and M. Each class also has 10 subclasses, denoted by a number 0 through 9, 0 being the hottest and 9 being the coolest. The Sun, for example, has a spectral class of G2. Next, we will look at the luminosity of stars. The luminosity is the total energy output per unit time of an object. It depends on two basic properties of the star: its surface temperature and its size. If we have two stars of the same size but different surface temperatures, the hotter star will be brighter. In our example, the blue star will be the brighter star, and the red, cooler star would be dimmer. If two stars have the same surface temperature, but one is larger than the other, then the larger star is brighter. In this example, the star on the right is larger and would be brighter. The star on the left is smaller and would be dimmer. We can also use a magnitude scale to describe the brightness of a star. The magnitude scale is based on Hipparchus classifications of stars into 6 groups. The consequence of using this system is the more negative the magnitude, the greater the brightness. We talk about 2 different types of magnitudes of stars. One is an apparent magnitude. The apparent magnitude describes how bright an object is as seen from the Earth. It depends on both luminosity and distance. Because the stars are not all at the same distance, we define an absolute magnitude, which only depends on luminosity. The absolute magnitude is the brightness of a star if it were 10 parsecs away from us. So now we are prepared to plot the HR diagram. On the vertical scale, we plot absolute magnitude. Notice the more negative numbers, the brighter stars, were replaced at the top. On the same axis, we could also talk about luminosity. The two are equivalent. On the horizontal axis, we plot the spectral class. We place the hotter stars to the left, the cooler ones to the right. This is the same as the surface temperature, shown here in degrees Kelvin. Now let's examine the positions of stars on the diagram. Most of the stars that we see are either hot and bright or cool and dim. This is exactly what we would expect. This, where most of the stars are, is called the main sequence. Some stars appear to the upper right of the main sequence. Since these stars are cooler, and yet they are bright, they must be large. We call these giants. Across the very top of the diagram, there are several very bright stars. These stars range from cool to hot, but their large luminosity is indicative of their huge size. These are the supergiants. To the lower left, we find stars that are very hot, but very dim. These stars must be extremely small. We call these stars white dwarfs. So where is the sun in all of this? Are we a supergiant? Are we one of the hot stars? Are we one of the very cool stars?
Yeah.
Or is our sun a dwarf star? It turns out our sun is an ordinary average star. It's right in the middle of the main sequence. This includes an online astronomy laboratory video on the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram.
All right, so there, now you got to see that. So we're familiar with how we're going to set up the HR diagram. And so now what we're going to do is we're just actually going to plot. Okay, so let me pull up the my HR diagram. I need to share the screen, just the screen, because I need two things up here. I'm going to need the HR diagram JPEG file, which I have somewhere. So I'm actually going to edit this with the Paint program. I'm not sure how good the Paint program is. I suppose I could use PowerPoint to do it, but you can use whatever you'd like to edit it. I'll go ahead and use. Should I use Paint? Yeah, I guess we can use Paint. I'll use Paint. And so what I'm going to do is actually just going to open that file. Maybe I can drag and drop. Yeah. There we go. All right, so there's my HR diagram file. I can zoom out when I need to. Notice that I've got the spectral classes across the bottom. When I go on here, you can see where my mouse thing is. Actually, grab the pencil part. So I need a magnifying glass. Pencil's good. Okay, so grab the pencil, and you can see where this is, where my pencil is. Let's see. Are you guys able to see clearly enough the pencil diagram? Okay, so we have OO, and then we have O, B, A, F, G, K, and M. And then each one of these has 10 subclasses. So O0, there are 5 lines between the OO and the BO. Oh yeah, can you mute your microphone unless you have a question? So go ahead and everybody mute their microphones, but if you have a question, unmute it and ask, okay? So everybody mutes their microphones. Okay. All right, so I got you. I'm gonna unmute you, and now you mute yourself back. Not you. There's no mute button for you. Okay. Ah, Karen. Okay, so now we need to. So this is O1, and there are 10 of these. There are 5 lines. So for each line, how many of the 10 divisions is that going to take? In other words, it's 0 to 9. So this is OO. The next one, the next line would be what? If that's OO. So I've got to get all the way to BO. So OO, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines in between, and I need 10 of those divisions. So each one would be 2. So this is O2, O4, O6, O8, BO, B2, B4, B6, B8, AO. Okay? So this line right here would be what?
F6?
F6. So that line would be F6. Good job. All right, so now when we go up here, we have these. Now notice there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines between the 0 and the 5. There are 5 lines between 0 and 5. So each one of those is going to be how much? Each line is going to be what? 1. So each line is 1. The only thing you have to be careful about is that the negatives are at the top and the positives are at the bottom. So the negatives are at the top and the positives are at the bottom. All right, so now let's go back to your instructions for this. So let me pull up the instructions. As I close that out. There was a problem. Uh-oh. That's not good. Ah, it's a bitch. Okay. This. So your instructions are very specific, and I want you guys to be specific about the different ones you use on here. And please do follow these instructions, because with the instructions that they have, let's see, it should be in the background review. So the instructions for this lab, I believe, are in the background review, or they're in the tables themselves. So let's see, are they in the tables themselves or in the background review? Let's see. Okay.
I think they're in the background review.
They should be in the background review. Okay. So I need to change this. And instructions. There you go. Because they didn't get put into 2 separate files. Okay, so I've clicked on the background review and instructions. If we go down, it'll tell us what to do for each diagram. So for the main sequence, we need to use periods. For the nearest stars, we need to use circles. And for the brightest stars, we need to use the star symbol. Okay? So those are easier done by hand, but I'm going to try to do it using this paint program online, just in case, because some of you may not have access to a printer. Okay, so we need a period. That's going to be hard to do because I need a dot. In this case, I might probably have to do it a different color or something. So let me just put this. Let's see, do I have a bunch of, do I have more shapes, or is this all the shapes I have? That's all the shapes I have. Man, maybe we should do it on. All right, and I'm going to actually pull this over. Just to give myself room to make a thing. Oh, and by the way, if you would please sign your name on this thing, even if you're using the thing to do it. See, it doesn't matter that just that way. All right. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to put this little thing over here. What color do you want this to be?
How about blue?
Fine, we'll use blue. All right, we'll use this blue. I don't want to make it too big. I'd like to fill in the middle. I got to be careful because I don't want it to be I want it to be a dot. There it is. There's a dot. Okay, so now I'm going to copy this dot. Oh, I messed up. I didn't copy it. I can't. Behave. It's not letting me copy it. That is weird. It's not letting me do it. No. No, it's not letting me copy. It's not letting me select it. Maybe if I selected it. All right, let me try the PowerPoint to edit this. I'm sorry. This is just manipulating with the program, and I don't think I can. I was able to do that last week, though, wasn't I? All right, so I'll use PowerPoint. I know I can edit with this. Do nice copy and everything. All right, so I'm going to insert the shape. Only shape. I'll go ahead and pick. I'll pick the. Well, actually, I want circles to remain that. So I'm going to pick this. I'm going to pick this triangle. I'm going to pick this triangle to represent main sequence. And for my diagram here, I'm going to change the color of it. Okay, so I'm going to say that this color for the main sequence. Somebody type in chat what color you want me to make the main sequence here. Purple. Okay, I'm going to do purple here. Okay, so I'm going to do purple main sequence. All right. Shade fill. Give me my purple. There's purple. 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 This one right here. Shade fill with purple. What? Okay. There it goes. Finally. Jeez. All right. So now we're going to plot the main sequence. And so this is the one I'm actually going to do with you today. Okay. For the other ones, once you figure this out. Oh, by the way, I did try Control C on the Paint program, and for some reason it wasn't letting me do it. I'm not sure why. So this is going to be our main sequence. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it. This is kind of like what we did last week. Now what I want to do is I'm going to look at my table. Let me bring up my table. I am sharing my whole screen with you guys, right?
Yes.
Tables, tables, tables. Where put the tables? Maybe I moved them under the thing. Hang on just a second. All right, hang on. I think if I were any more organized. There it is. Just put it over here or something. I'll just open it up. All right, there it is. Okay, so now I got my file. Oh, that's confusing. It opened it up with Internet Explorer. I didn't know that. It's all right. All right, so let me go back to sharing my screen. All right, so I got my tables right here. And let me pull up my diagram. And this diagram is actually one of the easier ones that you have plotted on. You get the plot on because the axes, both axes are straight. So both axes are straight, so there's no confusing curves to follow. You don't have to do circles. All you have to do is you have to just line up one way with the other. So for this one, we want to find 05. So 05 is, and just to give us a reference, give me a straight line here. It's going to be our straight line reference that we're going to use to find our purple points. Okay, so I'm just doing this as a teaching technique. You do not have to draw a big line like I am. Oh, I see. It's just slow. My computer is slow today for some weird reason. Okay. And okay, there we go. All right, so now I'm going to start moving this line over. So let's move the line. We go down to the bottom here. So I'm going to go over here. All right, so now I'm going to start moving over to the right until I get to 05. And somebody get their voice ready in the chat to stop me. Stop. No, not you, Kieran. You're not even looking at the thing.
But now I am.
Yeah, that's what you're going to get right. Ah, somebody's stopping me in chat. Okay, there we go. Yay. All right, so that's 05 right there. Okay, so then we just go up to negative 5.8. So I need to put my triangle at negative 5.8. Zoom out just a little bit so I get a little bit more access to this. Okay, so I need to put my triangle to negative 5.8, so I'm going to move my triangle. So here's -5. Now the trick is, which way do I need to go to get to -5.8? Well, I need to go up because the more negative numbers are at the top. And so I go up a little bit here. About right there. Not before I get to 6, okay, but definitely after 5. Okay, so that's about as good as we can do with that one. All right, so now let's go to the next point to plot. Our next point to plot is BO and -4.1. So first I'm going to move my line over. These ones are a bit easier because they have oh, I'm going to copy this and paste. Okay. My computer a little slow again. Okay, so there's my BO, and -4.1 would be, well, here's -5, so not right there. I can't be very precise with these triangles as you can with your dots, so you can be a little bit better with your dots. So now we go to B5 and -1.1. Well, there's 0. So then I have to go -1, right there, and then just above it like that. Now we're going to move this line over again. This time to A0. Here's another one. This time it's positive 0.7. Just yeah, not right there. Let's move our line again. A5. So if you're doing this outside, what you do is you go to the A5 and you go straight up until you reach 2. So this one is exactly 2. So I'm glad I didn't try this on my computer at home, because my computer at work is faster than home and it's taking a toll on it. So, yeah. There you go. All right, now let's do this again. Go to the next one. F0 and 2.6. As good as I can do. F5 and 3.4. G0. And 4.4. G5. 5.1. Just a little bit under there. K0 and 5.9. K5 and 7.3. That should be right here. We need MO. And 9. M5. And 13. And then M8, now we kind of got a different one here. So M8 is right here. That's M8. So M8 is 17.8. That's all the way down here. 15, 16, 17. 0.8 all the way down there. Is everybody okay with this one? Yes. Kieran? No. Let me pull this over. So you see how this is going to work? So as long as you see how to graph one of these points, you can graph all of the points. You just have to be patient with yourself and just keep doing it. Let me look back at the instructions again. Okay, and then after we do the main sequence, we're supposed to connect the dots with a smooth curve, table 1. Okay, connect the dots with a smooth curve. Now, what they mean by smooth curve is you kind of want it to curve like we did last week with the moon diagram. So this week we want to kind of connect these with a smooth curve. So I'm going to save this now just in case I mess up the smooth curve. HR smooth. I guess I can use a smooth curve. Now, if you're drawing, it's actually easy. You just kind of connect the dots, but instead of just going straight, you use curves. What I need to do is I need to go over here and say, what is this one here? It says, this is just a curve, okay? And I need to just connect. That was good, okay. Curve. No, it's supposed to curve. Curve. Wait, why aren't you curving? Wait, oops. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I messed that. That didn't work. Let me try this again. It says curve, right? Let's try this again. Why aren't you curving? That's not curving. That's like a bunch of straight lines. Why are you not curving? Why is it not curving? Okay, now it's curving. That's weird. Okay, fine. supposed to curve, right? Okay, will you make this a little curvy, okay? You can see how it's supposed to kind of curve. Hey, stop, I'm done, Okay, well that didn't work as well as I thought it would, but okay, you do it, you do the thing, okay? And there's my main sequence. So that's the main sequence. Okay, and so then we're going to do the nearest stars and the brightest stars. We're going to do a couple of these in this session, and you're supposed to make a note of the stars that are away from the main sequence. So in other words, you might want to label those on your diagram. Just put little labels, just write the name of those stars that are not main sequence stars. If I look at the table that they give us for the nearest stars. So we can look at this first one. The first one says Proxima Centauri, and its apparent magnitude is 11.1, with its absolute magnitude is 15.5, and the distance it gives you is 1.31 parsecs. And the group, so I didn't have you, wow. So you're gonna fill in the group on the sides of these things when you make note of them for a little bit later. So let's look at this one here. So apparent magnitude, absolute magnitude, spectral type, and the distance. Which two of these are we actually plotting? Which two are we actually plotting on the diagram?
The spectral type and the absolute magnitude.
Yeah, the spectral type and the absolute magnitude. All right, so since the mains, they wanted you to use, for the nearest ones, they wanted you to use little circles. I guess I'll change this one to, change the color here. So we use orange or red, or no, I don't want, yeah. I could use red on this one, but I guess I'll use green. There it is. All right, so my nearest stars are going to be green, and the little symbol for the nearest star I'm going to use is a little circle. So a little circle. I want to use a green circle, and there it is. Whoops. Green circle. Okay. All right, so I have my green circles. That's not the right color green, is it? Okay, and yeah, green circle. Okay, so I'm going to do this first one here. So magnitude of, I'm sorry, we have to find a spectral type first. So I'm going to move this over until I get to M5. Okay, so I have to go back down here, and I'm going to move this back over here. Tell me where when I get to M5. Oops, I messed it up. Okay, so M5 is right there. Okay, that's M5. And now I want to take this and I want to put it at positive 15.4. So I go over here and I go down to positive 15.4. That's down here. Okay, and you might ask yourself, is that away from the main sequence? Well, right? Because it's kind of away, but not really away. So let's hold off because we haven't plotted anything else yet to see like what's really going on in terms of what's happening. So if I plot the next one here, let's see, Alpha Centauri A, I go to G2 and positive 4.4. Okay, so I'm going to go back over here. G2's here. Do my pasting. Whoops. I'm gonna do that. Do this. I forgot to copy it. There we go. And paste it down. Right. And I need to put you. There we go. Now I'm gonna copy you. I'm gonna paste you. There we go. Now. Okay, so it's negative 4.4, which is kind of here. Positive 4.4. So notice that those really aren't away from the main sequence. Okay, so we're still looking at main sequence stars when we plot those. So you're going to have to just keep plotting these until you find maybe something different. Okay, don't worry, there'll be a few of them, right? And then you'll go to the brightest stars. Okay, and you're going to do the same thing. Sirius A, Canopus, Alpha Centauri. Now, some of them will be included in both lists. If there's one included in both lists, please label it if it's in both lists. Let's try this one here, just to be doing. So this time, I'm going to use a star symbol. And these ones, I guess I'll make red. I guess I can make these ones red. Okay, so. No, so we have a red stone. Star up here. And you'll want to put like a legend of here as to which ones you're using. All right, so let me change this to red now so we can do this. There it is. Why isn't it changing? There it is. Okay. So I'm doing Betelgeuse here, which is M2 negative 6.6. So I got to go back over here to M2. Copy my star, paste. There's the star. And now I need negative 6.6. So when I move this over, I go up to negative 6.6. Well, here's 0. I go up, negative 5, negative 6. That's kind of up here. Okay. And as you can see, this one, and this is Betelgeuse, by the way. As you can see, that one definitely is nowhere near the main sequence. So that's when you find a star like that, you're going to make a note of it. Okay, so Basically, it's just the same thing over and over and over again. I know it's a lot of points to plot, but just keep plotting them. And then after you get done, you're going to be circling the groups. And you're going to be there. Unfortunately, there's no questions. Or actually, what happened was that the question didn't transfer over from Canvas. That lost somehow. So you don't have to do any questions. Just turn in a graph. So yeah, that's it. That's it. Really it.
I have a question, Professor.
Sure.
For the where it says the instructions when you plot, use different symbol. Oh, I'm sorry. It says fill in the group information for the nearest and brightest stars. That just means the one on top, right? Like number 2.
Yeah. So oh, I see. Yeah, they have it for this one. You can kind of put a column over here and do it for this one too. Just do this here for this one here. Okay. In other words, you could do it for the brightest stars, but they didn't give you a column for it.
Oh, okay. No, it's because the instructions, it says like MS equals main sequence and RG and SG and WD.
Right.
So
But
that's just
yeah, you kind of have to do that afterward. You kind of have to do that afterward. So just make notes of where things are. Okay. Make notes.
so like label like which one would be white dwarf and which one would be
right. That's why you note the ones that are away from the thing, and then everything else is main sequence.
Oh, okay.
You see what I mean? So if you note what's away from it, then everything that's normal is on a main sequence. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can do that as you go. So in other words, when you're doing the regular thing, you can spot the main sequences as you go. That's a main sequence one right there. That's a main sequence one right there. That's not a main sequence one. Let's wait and see how the rest of the plot is. Okay. But the only thing I'm going to be grading this time are the graph. Whether you follow the instructions, you can use whatever, but they need to be 3 different symbols. They need to be different symbols, and you're going to be circling your groups. You're going to be circling the other groups. Okay.
Professor, I have another question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so we need to plot all of the table, from table 3, right? And all of table.
Yes. Table 1, 2, and 3. Plot all of those. Yes.
Okay. And then is it okay if we use like different colors instead of
You
shapes?
can use different colors and different. Yes. Yes. Yeah, you can use different colors.
By group, do you mean like which is farther away from the line, or what do you mean?
No. By group is in the video it splits it up into those 4 groups. So if I look at the instructions here, where the instructions go, like this, that's the tables. Instructions. Here they are. It says fill in the group information. So in other words, you're filling in the group. So what we want you to do is instead of having to fill these in, circle them on the diagram. So in other words, the main sequence is already marked. The red giant, you're going to circle it and put the red giant. For the supergiant, circle that and put supergiant across the top. And in the lower left, circle that and put white dwarf. Okay? So in other words, circle the stars you find across the top as supergiants. Circle the red giant stars you find. Circle the white dwarf stars.
And that also goes in table 2 for the section group?
Yeah, it goes for all the stars. So in other words, you're going to plot all of them on this diagram. So in other words, you're going to have 3 different sets of stars on the diagram, or 3 different sets of points. The main sequence just kind of is definition. There's not really stars there. It's just triangles.
Gosh.
So then you're going to plot these, and then you're going to plot the main sequence stars. Okay?
I guess one of the key things I kind of learned from my years at CSUN is kind of like,
And then you're going to be plotting the brightest stars.
if you don't actually search and put like effort on your end to go try to find some opportunities, it's not going to come across that easy. It's like if you want to be like an executive, or if you want to get
Oh, wait a minute. That's not astronomy. Hang on.
kind of come easily. So kind of like always search for opportunities and don't stop.
Excellent. You are responsible.
Okay, so just to clear up everything for everybody, we plot all 3 tables, and then after plotting all 3 tables, we can do it in like either different shapes or different,
Just different shapes, yeah.
colors. And then after that, we go ahead and just circle the
Or groups.
groups, right?
For
Okay.
groups, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because everybody was asking about the different tables and the absolute magnitude and spectral types.
Yes. So in other words, you're plotting them all on the same table. Okay? You're plotting all of the stars on the same table. So there's going to be 50 stars total on the table, plus the markers for the main sequence. It's a lot of plotting, but that's pretty much it. And just circle it after that.
Professor, so we only plot the absolute mag and then the spectral type?
Yes. Yes. They include the other information just to show you that it is indeed the nearest and brightest. But that's not what you're plotting.
And then one last question. This lecture is recorded, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay.
And I'll put it up on YouTube, and I'll put a link in Canvas.
Okay, thank you.
Label the stars. I like to label the named stars, but you know, just make sure you at least have the groups, okay? And I'll have to, yeah. So just label the groups, and do try to make a note and label the ones that are away from the main sequence, the non-main sequence ones. Just make a note. No, you're just going to turn in the graph. OBA, G, OBA, F, G, K, M, and then 0 through 9 as the subclasses. We talked about that at the beginning of the video. So as soon as I get up on YouTube, you can watch it again. No, you just, yeah, you are going to group all the stars. It's just that the main sequence is kind of already, you just kind of outline. There's going to be a bunch of stars right here. You just say this is the main sequence, and then you kind of circle the ones that are outside of it. So there's only 4 groups. Devontae, you might want to watch the video because we explained that 0 through 9 thing at the beginning. Okay, and I'm going to put the video up on YouTube. All right. All right, so I'm going to end the meeting so I can get the video ready and put it up on YouTube. You guys